He's the final edition of the Brave series, the combination of innumerable classics and fresh innovation. His name is GaoGaiGar. GaoGaiGar is a highly regarded mecha series, having originally aired on TVs across Japan on February 1st of 1997, and many would say is among one of the best yet least known hidden gems in mecha, easily getting buried under the large success of other classics at the time, such as Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop, and even Pokemon. It went to be known as a culmination of everything the mecha, or more specifically, the super robot genre had built up to, and exceeded everyone's expectations. It became so highly regarded that to this very day, GaoGaiGar still sees regular figure releases and consistent inclusion in the genre's biggest recurring game series, Super Robot Wars, an RPG-styled video game with an emphasis on crossovers between all of the most revered mecha titles. It's up there with Gundam, Gurren Lagann, Getter Robo, Mazinger Z, and Tetsujin 28, also known as Gigantor. But first off, what is mecha exactly?
Oh, it's a face! A giant robot!
Well, it's a genre of just about any kind of show with any kind of themes, just with the inclusion of mechanical machines of some kind, be them sentient beings, controlled by a pilot, or otherwise. Super Robot is a sort of subcategory of the mecha genre. It more specifically refers to robots intent on saving the world in some kind of superhero fashion. GaoGaiGar, King of Braves, is a hot-blooded, tension-bustling super robot series that stands out from the rest and notably pays homage to many that had come before it. But most importantly, GaoGaiGar is the final and most significant iteration of the Yusha, or Brave series. Well, then you have to ask, what's the Brave series? The Brave series is a collection of super robot shows that aired from 1990 to 1997 by animation studio Sunrise, with an emphasis on transforming robots, teamwork, and above all else, bravery. The Brave series came as a direct descendant to Transformers, as toward the late 80s, Transformers ceased being so much of a cross-cultural phenomenon and instead began to slog into an isolated hunk of junk snooze fest. The entries that came after would consist of Transformers the Headmasters, Transformers Super God Master Force, and to tie everything up, Transformers Victory. If none of those ring a bell, well, the harsh truth is that they shouldn't. You wouldn't have even had a chance to watch them if you wanted to, as those series would only be officially released to the West with English subtitles starting 2011. That's a 24-year localization pipeline, people. Toei Animation would give it one last shot with a pilot for a brand new Transformers cartoon in 1990 titled Transformers Zone, but that didn't fare too well either. This 24-minute pilot episode was met with such a negative reception that it would be canceled immediately and henceforth published as a direct-to-VHS movie, or OVA. Transformers would then take a 6-year hiatus as the animation studio Sunrise had struck a deal with the toy company Takara, and in a synchronized effort, unknowingly made way for a brand new series, reviving a genre that seemed to be rapidly rusting away. Enter the very beginning of the Brave series. Brave X Kaiser. Brave X Kaiser was a show that seemed to take the scraps from Transformers and shifted gears into something entirely new and fresh. Brave X Kaiser aired on TVs across Japan starting February 3rd of 1990, and a few ideas would set the groundwork for Brave X Kaiser and, subsequently, the entire Brave series from there on out. Themes of heroism were on full display with an emphasis on searching for one's own treasure, or in other words, realizing what's important before it's too late and gone forever. Things wouldn't be getting too heavy though. At the time, there wasn't really anything for kids in terms of mecha. Mecha, as a genre, was seemingly becoming more and more of an outlet exclusively for adults, typically revolving around the atrocities of war and other brutal themes. Titles like Votoms, Ideon, Gunbuster, Macross, and almost every entry in the Gundam series seemed to be getting more intense, more gut-wrenching, more focused on death, and overall more mature. Brave X Kaiser would be intentionally made for children, as there was an agreement from the very beginning among the writing staff that no characters throughout the entirety of the plot were allowed to permanently die in any way. keeping the tone light and kid-friendly. Whereas some might have seen that as the series' biggest weakness. In truth, it became its biggest strength and dominated the scene, forcing even Gundam to release its very own, lighter, more kid-friendly series years later with the release of Mobile Fighter G Gundam. That's a big deal coming off the tragic story of War in the Pocket, released just a few years earlier. In terms of design, robots were already starting to slim up and trim their edges towards the end of Transformers, and X-Geyser was going to get even more razor-sharp, with slim waists, flashy headpieces, lion chests, and a big fat sword that satisfyingly ends almost every fight, which, incidentally, became a trope that continues on to this very day. This brand new story sparked immediate success, and fans of the genre were excited for more, especially children. What was supposed to be a one-off series that, more than anything, served as a commercial for transforming robot toys, became an 8-entry-long collection of series, with a technical 9th and 10th to boot. Each built off of what had come before it, mixing and tweaking ideas little by little until finally it landed on the legendary entry we're here to talk about today. But before I go explaining away anything else, let me show you what I'm talking about. This is GaoGaiGar, Episode 1, Yushao Tanjo, or in English, The Birth of the King of Graves. A man and a woman drive through a snowstorm as a shooting star races across the sky. Upon seeing this, the woman makes a wish and hopes for a child that they can both raise together. They share a warm smile with each other as suddenly, a massive green object dashes at them head-on. After the blowback sends them crashing into heaps of snow, the massive creature presents itself, revealing a giant mechanoid lion. The creature slowly lowers its head and opens its mouth to reveal a baby boy happily resting inside. The woman urgently grabs him without a second thought. Then, the mechanoid lion uprights itself and blasts off, leaving the couple with the boy and stunning them, absolutely amazed at what's just happened. 8 years have passed since that day. Society has entered the 21st century, and city living has grown dramatically. Packed highways, skyscrapers, and busy sidewalks as far as the eye can see. But something lurks in its underbelly, slowly and carefully scheming a plan. Today is a special day, though, as a bright class of middle schoolers is out on a field trip to Garbage Island to learn more about environmental awareness. The class gets to bask in what they find, astounded that people would be so willing to throw out items that are sometimes not even broken at all and other times seem brand new. A young boy by the name of Mamoru Amagi is among them, and out of nowhere, a tingle goes down his spine as he senses something strange nearby. He approaches a dimly lit cave of clutter, and without warning, a wall of screens flash on with strange faces buzzing in and out, as wires seem to almost grab at his legs. Young Mamoru quickly gets back to his teacher, and suddenly, the island starts to move from beneath their feet. From the broken bits and pieces of junk rises a large, daunting behemoth, and as Mamoru screams in terror, a particular mecha lion awakens to the call. Immediately, a man named Kotaro Taiga is alerted by his pager and swiftly enters his private chambers, where, with the push of a button, his desk lowers into a secret lower level. As others get word, more and more people arrive at this secret location as they assemble and get in their places. It's here that this team works together to function as the Earth's most top-secret defense organization, known as the Gutsy Geoid Guard, otherwise referred to as 3G. The mechanoid lion known as Galeon had been captured and cared for by the 3G team for just about 2 years now, and it had lain dormant ever since, until now. At that very same moment, Mamoru and all of his classmates seem to have been taken hostage as it becomes very clear that something has transformed the mechanical rubble and reformed into something new, a huge monster that seems to be taking them on a very unexpected ride. Crewmates of 3G look on in terror, as this seems to be a creature the likes of which they've only ever encountered once before, 2 years ago. This creature would be known as a Zonder and is exactly the kind of threat 3G was meant to defend against since its creation. And it looks like it's finally game day. Galeon is released, authorizations are approved, and it becomes very clear that whatever this creature is, conventional military defenses stand no chance against it. Even Galeon does its best to fend it off, but is easily repelled and then frozen stiff, left to sink to the bottom of the ocean. This thing is on another level. The situation seems hopeless, but there's still one last chance. A young man stands atop his perch and checks his energy levels. He's finally given permission to join the fight. Thus, summons our very first Gao machine.
DrillGao! DrillGao!
A giant drilling machine known as DrillGao burrows its way out from under the creature, keeping it busy. His cyborg fighter, GaoGaiGar, steps up to the plate and suits up. Guy makes a stylish entrance as he beats away the wild machinery and briefly introduces himself to Mamoru. But the monster swiftly gives him the boot. The creature then transforms into something more akin to a train as it continues this wild ride with Mamoru and his friends inside.
Oh no!
The creature starts absolutely destroying city roads everywhere as it seems to be out of control and totally unstoppable. But this is just the job for our second Gao machine, LinerGao.
The bullet train?
Sorry, but when it comes to speed, nothing can come close to LinerGao.
Galeon is almost up and running again, as crew members of 3G suggest fusion, speculating that they've never actually done it before. But times are dire and the situation calls for it, and with unwavering confidence in Guy, Captain Taiga approves. Guy retreats to get into place as this enormous monster, now identified as EI-02, readies its cannons for a direct attack on City Hall. Just as all seems hopeless, Galeon and Guy stand proud and tall, distracting the behemoth and ready for a full-on fight.
Initiating fusion!
Success! And to add even more to the mix, it's time to introduce our final Gao machine.
StealthGao!
This slick superjet makes for a swift and speedy exit as GaoGaiGar maneuvers so fast that even EI-02 can't keep up. After playing a quick trick on the monster, GaoGaiGar separates Mamoru and friends from the fight and transports them to safety, but that's just about the most GaoGaiGar can do for now. We need final fusion to deal with this problem. But there's just one catch. Chances of it succeeding are close to zero. Fusion was already a gamble, and going for final fusion may have some consequences. Taiga proudly boasts that even if the probability of success is zero, Guy can make it happen. Final fusion.
Authorized!
Program drive.
Engage!
At last! Final fusion!
In a mystical smokescreen, GaoGaiGar and all the Gao machines come together, and in synchronization, bit by bit, build the hero we've been waiting for. Finally, this is GaoGaiGar! Time to show off. This is Guy's fight now. Oh, EI-02 wants to launch another energy beam? We've got that covered. Protector Shade repels the attack easily, sending it straight back to sender. That not good enough? Time for Broken Magnum to make its debut, with GaoGaiGar's right forearm spinning, glowing bright pink, smashing through the monster with ease. Although these blows are impressive, this thing just keeps regenerating. With no other option and looking to end this fight quickly, Guy is left to his last and most destructive move in his arsenal.
And head on!
EI-02's core has been successfully extracted and is no longer a threat. Time to destroy this thing for good and just a bit of effort. Something takes over Mamoru. He glows green and flies straight to the machine's core, seemingly unaware of what even he himself is doing. On pure instinct, he somehow knows destroying the core isn't the right thing to do, and as the crew look on in amazement, we wrap up episode 1 wondering what in the world just took place. So, GaoGaiGar Episode 1. Already, inspiration from series that had come before is clear to see. A plethora of comparisons can be made to previous mecha entries in both its narrative and design philosophy that truly makes it feel like a genuine love letter to the mecha genre itself. A secret defense organization, underground, meant to act as the world's last resort against threats from outer space, sounds a lot like Nerve from Evangelion. Broken Magnum, a flying fist attack? Sounds a lot like Rocket Punch from Mazinger Z. A cyborg protagonist with long, lush, flaming hair? This one might not land for most, but even that could be compared to the main character of Cybernetics Guardian. An enemy we meet later almost seems like an exact copy of Jetlink from Cyborg 009. These references don't act as required reading to understand GaoGaiGar, but rather enrich the experience for those that had already been digesting mecha series up to that point. Even the idea of a mechanoid lion head acting as a machine's chest piece may have already been made popular by Brave X-Kaiser of the same Brave series, but truly dates all the way back to 1979 from another mecha show, Future Robot Daltanius. More and more of these small details can be witnessed throughout the show's duration, and in total, GaoGaiGar could be considered a lighter, more kid-friendly take on Evangelion that had released just 2 years prior in 1995, which just goes to show how connected all of these titles actually are. Even Evangelion was meta-commentary on the Brave series itself, so to see such a back-and-forward exchange of ideas makes the idea of mecha not only seem like a genuine family of robots, but also kinda gets complicated and difficult for most to get a grasp of. On top of the influence from other works in the genre, a few other details made GaoGaiGar truly special. It features a full soundtrack from the extremely talented Kohei Tanaka, responsible for the music and critically acclaimed Gunbuster of 1988, on top of both Gundam 08th MS Team and Mobile Fighter G Gundam. Director of the show was Yoshitomo Yonetani, who was responsible for directing the literal origin story of Doraemon in 1995, titled 2112, The Birth of Doraemon. Even that dug its way into GaoGaiGar, as if you recall, the very first episode of the show is titled The Birth of the King of Braves. Then you had renowned writer Yoshitake Suzuki present, who wrote for several series including Votoms, G Gundam, and Stardust Memory. And on top of all that, Tetsuwan Adam Uchu no Yusha, or in English, Astro Boy, the brave in space. Then there's the voice actors, or seiyuu. In Japanese, most notably, Gai Shishio was voiced by Nobuyuki Hiyama, best known for his role as Link in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Doesn't matter what language you played it in, if you played Ocarina of Time, you've heard him before. On the English side of things for Gai, we have a talent just as renowned for his work with Michael Centurniclass. You've probably heard him before as well, being the prevailing voice of Leonardo from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What did I tell you? Double katana? Pretty sweet, huh?
Mikey from Kappa Mikey, and Taki Tachibana from the more recent movie, Your Name.
Excuse me! Have I met you somewhere?
For Mamoru Amagi, Maiko Ito is on the Japanese side. However, on the English side, that's Veronica Taylor. Or as you may be more familiar with her, Ash Ketchum.
Pikachu, get in the bowl now. Come on, give me a break. If I hadn't crashed at the end, you would never have even come close to winning.
Another voice talent that blew me away was Dan Green as Taiga.
Fusion authorized!
Oh, and Koji Ishii, seiyuu of Taiga?
Final fusion! Shonin!
Apparently he's Mojo Jojo and Yosemite Sam for the Japanese dub of Powerpuff Girls and the Looney Tunes, respectively. Huh. Seriously talented A-listers were present at every step of the creative process, refining every detail to polish and shine every aspect of GaoGaiGar until it was perfect. Dig around and you'll find the name Hajime Yatate as GaoGaiGar's original creator. Hajime Yatate stands as an alias for the whole of all talented animators and staff at Sunrise that work together to make it all happen. In both Japanese and English, seasoned voice talent was carefully chosen to encapsulate each character completely, with every performance feeling alive and in tune. But on the English side of things, it gets messy. Unfortunately, you can't get too attached, because as good as the English dub is, it's only ever been halfway done. Only 25 of the 49 total episodes are fully dubbed, and after that, you get hit with the ice-cold bucket of water to the face that if you want to keep watching, it'll have to be in Japanese with subtitles. The reason for this wasn't exactly clear, but the studio behind the dub, Media Blasters, claimed that sales for Volume 1 of the DVD set were simply too low. What probably hurt the series the most is that GaoGaiGar never actually aired in the West. It was quietly released bit by bit through DVDs with absolutely no marketing behind it at all. And what's worse, these DVD sets only released starting 2006, nearly a full decade after its original airing in Japan. For comparison, Pokémon originally aired the same year as GaoGaiGar in 1997 and was given a full English dub starting 1999. 2 years versus 9 years. The original GaoGaiGar toys weren't even in production anymore, so how's that gonna help it take off? There are also 2 other theories as to why GaoGaiGar hadn't been localized sooner, and may be the key to why it seems so hidden. As silly as it sounds, I believe the X factors that truly made it fail in the West were Pokémon and 9/11. Let me explain. Back in the early 2000s, there was already a seizure scare with the airing of a particular episode of Pokémon titled Computer Warrior Porygon, in which a confirmed 685 children in total had been admitted to hospitals across Japan for epileptic seizures after viewing it. In that episode, Pikachu uses his signature move Thunderbolt to save Ash and his friends from an oncoming missile, and as a very poor decision in hindsight, the animators chose to depict this scene with a flashing red and blue screen that lasts for far too long. GaoGaiGar, unfortunately, makes the fatal mistake of including many scenes that also include flashing lights to a very similar visual effect. And what's worse is it does it much more often. It corrected this mistake in the latter half of the show, removing the strobe effects from most every scene, but by that time it was too late. Oh, and that theory about 9/11? Many productions at the time had already begun taking note that any sort of scene threatening the destruction of 2 buildings in any way resembling the Twin Towers was an absolute no-go, no matter the production. Consider the sluggish localization pipeline these series typically go through, and present this scene from episode 1 to any localization company anytime after 2001. Getting back on track. Episode 1 of GaoGaiGar left lots of mysteries on the table yet to be addressed, like, once you use Final Fusion, how do you unfuse? How is Mamoru, glowing green, flying through the air? Why doesn't he want the core destroyed? And then, why are we calling this new threat EI-02 as if there's an EI-01 already? As we dive into episode 2, much more becomes crystal clear. All that and more next time, only on Juza Voices. This is the key to victory, so don't miss it.